very good evening, viewers. You're watching 6 Stories at 6 with me, Rajnath Mishra. Viewers, this is the Friday edition of the show, and we'll take a quick look at all the big stories we're tracking for you. First up, the ripples of the tariff war, viewers. Reports coming in about Defense Minister Rajnath Singh possibly cancelling the US visit. However, there is an MOD, Ministry of Defense statement that has come in on that. We'll tell you about, is it going to affect the trade deals, given the fact how the trade, is it going to affect the defense deals? Also, Trump, viewers, still thinks that he can bully India, but the crucial Toval-Putin meeting in Moscow is the sure-shot indication that India and Russia are stronger than ever. Third story on 6 Stories at 6. It's an all-out war between the ECI and Rahul over Rahul Gandhi's claims of mass vote fraud. ECI has hit back, issuing the ultimatum to Rahul that give proof or apologize. Fourth story is from Uttarkashi, where 5 days of intense operations continue. The army has restored communication and are engaged in the repairing of the roads that were cut off. We'll get you everything from the ground. And the second last story is the Gaza takeover, the possible Gaza takeover. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is mentioning about this. It has spoken to Republic TV exclusively on that. We'll get you that report also. And finally, what was a verbal spat over parking turned deadly in the national capital, and this involves actor Huma Qureshi's brother, who was brutally murdered in this brawl. We'll tell you all of that, but first we start with the top story, viewers. It's the report that is right now causing ripples across on the fact that Rajnath Singh, the Raksha Mantri, could be possibly cancelling his visit to United States. Remember, this after Donald Trump had suspended the trade deal. Just last night he has said that there is no deal till the time there is any progress on that. But now there was a Reuters report doing the rounds, which has been quashed by the Ministry of Defense. The ministry says that status quo is maintained. The procurement deals for which Rajnath Singh was going, they continue as per progress. However, the clouds are still hovering over Rajnath Singh's visit. There is still no clarity if he's going or not to Washington, D.C., because the Ministry of Defense statement hasn't really, cleared the air on that, so to speak. But yes, viewers, talking about the trade tariff war, that of course continues. We'll tell you Donald Trump's latest salvo in that.
To follow up on the India tariffs, do you expect increased trade negotiations, since you've announced the 50% tariff?
No, not until we get it resolved.
Mr. President, to follow up on the India tariffs, do you expect increased trade negotiations, since you've announced the 50% tariff?
No, not until we get it resolved.
Mr. President, follow up on the India tariffs. Do you expect increased trade negotiations, since you've announced the 50% tariff?
No, not until we get it resolved.
Mr. President.
What I can say in terms of India is the president has been very clear in terms of the concerns he has regarding the trade imbalance, regarding the concerns he has when it comes to the purchase of Russian oil. He's soon to take action directly on that, and I refer you to the president's comments for that. India is a strategic partner with whom we engage in a full and frank dialogue. That'll continue. The secretary also spoke to that. Like anything in foreign policy, you're not going to align 100% of the time on everything. But it is very clear, the president's been clear, the concerns that he has with the trade imbalance, the concerns he has with India purchasing Russian oil. He's been clear on that. He's taken action, and I refer you to his comments for further on that.
And we have geopolitical expert, Ambassador Deepak Vora, on the broadcast. Sir, thank you so much and very good evening to you. Ambassador Vora, well, there have been reports doing the rounds on how this trade war could also affect the defense deals. The MOD is clarifying that the procurement process is underway, but we understand that why it's very carefully worded, of course. There's no clarity on whether Rajnath Singh is going to Washington or not. The fact that the trade deal has been halted, and the fact that there could be, of course, clouds hovering over the defense ties. It is not impossible. It's not completely impossible, because we have a very important, a very strong partner, defense partner in Russia, which I will talk to you about in our second story. But this particular visit that could be now in limbo, sir, could be a very strong message again from New Delhi.
Well, thank you very much, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Sir, very loud and clear.
All right, thank you very much. I'm driving, so if I shake a little bit, it's not because I'm dancing, but it's because I'm in a car. Nevertheless, I can't say no to you. Republic is my home. Ma'am, let me put it across to you like this, that the basic issue, the three things that the Prime Minister talked about are all about what we call the primary sector. He said with no compromise on our agriculture, no compromise on fisheries, and no compromise on dairy farming. And let me tell you something, ma'am, which is why Donald Trump is very, very angry. Of course, he wants to sell more oil to us and says don't buy oil from Russia. He's just woken up to the fact that his own country and the European Union are also buying much more oil from Russia than we have. And if we give in to this and say don't buy oil from Russia, then we'll say don't buy defense equipment from Russia. All right, we agree we don't buy defense equipment from Russia. Then we say get out of BRICS. And then we say, all right, we agree, get out of BRICS. And then you say get out of all the other bilateral or multilateral agreements that you have. There's no end to his greed. But let me talk to you about agriculture, ma'am. I don't know how many of your viewers are like me, north of 70. I'm 74. I recall distinctly, ma'am, 66, 67. The rains had failed. Mrs. Gandhi went to import wheat from the United States. We made the largest imports in the history of mankind, 9 and 11 million tons. And we were told not to eat on Mondays. I have slept hungry for 80 Mondays in 1966, 67. But what hurt us the most, the then president, I think was a fellow called Lyndon Johnson, he would personally approve every shipment of wheat to India. There is an English expression, living hand to mouth. No, ma'am, at that point of time, we were living ship to mouth. We were in a desperate situation, and we don't want to go through that again, because we have built up our agriculture. We've made it climate smart. We've made it climate resilient. We are the second largest producer of rice and wheat in the world. We do not want to compromise that. We don't want to hurt our farmers. We are talking about doubling their incomes and so on. So all this genetically modified nonsense that President Trump is talking about, it's not that he loves genetically modified food. He just wants to make sure that the Indian agriculture sector again becomes dependent on the United States, as we were at that point of time.
Right,
he loves other countries being dependent on the US. He doesn't like to be dependent on
Ambassador
anyone.
Vora, just I request you please stay on with us, because we are interrupted by the statement coming in from our sources in the MOD, in the Ministry of Defense, as we were mentioning that the Defense Ministry is clearly quashing the reports, the Reuters story on India pausing defense purchases from the US, saying it's false and fabricated, and that, of course, there is no clarity as far as Rajnath's visit is concerned. This is coming in from a senior MOD official. As far as Rajnath's visit is concerned, the MOD still, of course, maintains silence. But the report on the purchases that were in store, the procurement process that was on agenda in this visit of the Raksha Mantri to Washington, of course, that is continuing as per process. Okay, viewers. So now, we will, of course, tell you what's been going on despite this trade war. We've seen how Donald Trump claimed, that it was, in fact, Russian oil that is becoming the warring point between the two nations. Ajit Doval has been in Moscow, and he has been holding talks with Shoigu, and he's also met Vladimir Putin. Now, this is, of course, very important from the optics point of view as well. Russian President Vladimir Putin holding talks with Ajit Doval on Thursday. The two countries stressing their commitment to strategic partnership during bilateral security talks in Moscow, just a day after US President Donald Trump had announced the higher tariffs on in Indian imports. Viewers, we have reactions coming in of Ajit Doval. Listen in.
You very rightly mentioned, Excellency, that we have got a very special relationship, a long relationship, and we highly value our strategic partnership. We have had high-level engagements, and these high-level engagements have contributed very substantially. We are very excited and delighted to learn about the visit of His Excellency, the President of Russia, President Putin, to India. I think that the dates are almost finalized now. The more important thing is this, that is, these summit meetings have always been the water.
Ambassador Vora, we just saw the pictures of Ajit Doval meeting Vladimir Putin, and I'm sure that White House must be carefully watching these pictures, because we've been very close as far as the defense ties are concerned. There's this, this option between F-35, Su-57 been going on for ages now, and with this tariff war, we do understand that India could be possibly leaning even further to Russia for the defense ties and even, of course, the trade ties.
Ma'am, it's a very interesting question, very intelligent question. Let me put it to you like this. The latest figures reveal that 2 out of every 3 pieces of weaponry that we use are made in India, that are used by our defense forces. You know the performance of our missiles, homegrown missiles called the BrahMos during the conflict with Pakistan recently. We know all that. We also know that over 100 countries are buying Indian defense equipment. Now, Donald Trump, ma'am, this whole business about our buying Russian oil and so on, stop buying it, this is arrant nonsense. I'll tell you what it is. I have a sneaking system. I know this fellow. I've been looking, I'm just studying him. I've spoken to a lot of my friends. The day we say we are opening our agriculture to America, he'll forget about all the oil we are buying from Russia. He's looking for his own interests. He has failed to stop the war between Ukraine and Russia. So this, ma'am, in psychological terms, is called deflection. He doesn't want anybody to say, Donald Trump, you were the god of all you surveyed. How come you were not able to stop this war?
All right, I think, Ambassador, they've lost your connection. There is some problem with the network. But thank you so much for joining us with your insights and your reading of the situation. Thank you so much, Ambassador Vora. We'll just shift our focus to the third story. It's an all-out war that is escalating between Rahul Gandhi and Election Commission of India, viewers, after Rahul Gandhi alleged and continues to allege mass poll fraud during the Lok Sabha elections last year, but also during the Maharashtra state elections. Now, the ECI has hit back, demanding proof, seeking declaration from Rahul Gandhi. Self-styled document is what ECI is asking for, that Rahul Gandhi must furnish proof of voter manipulation under oath or apologize to the nation. Rahul, meanwhile, said he has issued fresh threats. He's only having threats. The only thing he has to respond with, he does not have proof, it seems, but he has more and more threats in store. Listen into Rahul Gandhi today.
देश में झूठ से काम नहीं चलना चाहिए. दूसरा, मैं ये जो मॉडस ऑपरेंडी है कि बोलो और भाग जाओ, संसद में मत चलने दो, संसद में चर्चा मत करो, संसद में चर्चा करने से अच्छा है कि संसद को ही ना चलने दो, तो ये तो तरीका ठीक नहीं है.
मुझसे इलेक्शन कमीशन एफिडेविट मांगता है, मुझसे कहता है कि मुझे ओथ लेना है. मैंने पार्लियामेंट के सामने, पार्लियामेंट के अंदर ओथ लिया है, इस संविधान के सामने ओथ लिया है, इस पर हाथ डाल के वोट लिया है, इस पे हाथ डालकर ओथ लिया.
मैं आज राहुल जी को भी कहना चाहता हूं, बंद करिए ये वोट बैंक की राजनीति. मतदाता शुद्धिकरण पहली बार नहीं हो रहा है. आपके परनाना जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने शुरू किया था और अंत में 2003 में हुआ, तब भी कोई विरोध नहीं था. अब आप चुनाव पे चुनाव हारते जाते हो, इसलिए पहले से ही बिहार चुनाव हारने का एक वजह लोगों को बता रहे हैं.
विदाउट एनी बेसिस, विदाउट एनी लॉजिक ये झूठ का दुकान चलाने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं. इट इज एन इंसल्ट टू द मैंडेट गिवन बाय द पीपल. देश के जनता जो एक मैंडेट दिया है उसके लिए राहुल गांधी इंसल्ट कर रहे हैं. सेंसिटाइज करना और भाग जाना.
So rescue operations, viewers, have been in full swing in Uttarakhand's Uttarkashi. Indian Army has restored communication, and Tariff, of course, remains cut off till due to the extensive landslides and road damage. But the road clearance has progressed up to Limchigad. Work on launching a Bailey bridge is also expected to be completed soon. Around 400 civilians have been rescued till now through a combination of air and ground efforts. Take a look at this report filed by my colleague Sagar Mishra.
अब देखिए हम उधर की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं जहां पर पुल का देखिए निर्माण किया जा रहा है. बीआरओ की देखिए तमाम कंपनियां भी यहाँ पर पहुंची हुई हैं। जो बॉर्डर रोड मेक वे फॉर योर ब्राइट फ्यूचर, वो बोर्ड एक बार फिर मैं आपको आज दिखा रहा हूँ। जो देखिए जिम्मेदारी बीआरओ को मिली रहती है, उसी के लिए देखिए यहाँ पर बेहतर काम यहाँ पर लगातार अब किया जा रहा है। देखिए अब मैं आपको ले चल रहा हूँ जहाँ पर देखिए पुल का निर्माण किया जा रहा है। ये देखिए, ये जो आप देख पा रहे होंगे गहरी खाई, इसके ऊपर पूरा पुल बना हुआ था। उस स्ट्रक्चर को एक बार फिर तैयार करना बहुत बड़ी यहाँ पर चुनौती है। अभी केवल ये देखा जा रहा है कि आखिर कैसे उस ढांचे को यहाँ पर फिक्स किया जाए। बड़े बड़े बोल्डर्स की मदद से जो ऊपर से देखिए बोल्डर पत्थर यहाँ पर गिरे, कैसे इस पुल को बहा कर लेते गए। नीचे देखिए तेज़ ये कलकल करती है आवाज़ें इन लहरों की, और ये झरना की आप देख पा रहे होंगे खूबसूरती तो है, लेकिन इसी झरने ने कैसे यहाँ पर देखिए प्रलय लायर इस पूरे जो है पुल को यहाँ पर धराशायी कर दिया। अब आगे देखिए कैसे पोकलेन मशीन के ज़रिए काम को देखिए धीरे धीरे अंजाम अब दिया जा रहा है। अभिषेक दिखाइए, ये देखिए पोकलेन मशीन इस समय काम कर रही है बेहतर तरीके से, ताकि जो है पुल का निर्माण कार्य बहुत जल्द यहाँ पर शुरू हो।
हमारा जो पूरा ध्यान है वो इस बात पे केंद्रित है कि जो गंगोत्री में धार्मिक पर्यटक थे उनको वहाँ से निकाला जाए, और तकरीबन 400 लोग वहाँ से निकाले गए हैं जो हर्सिल तक लाए गए हैं। इसी के साथ तकरीबन 350 लोग 70 हेलीकॉप्टर की जो यहाँ से सेवाएं शुरू करी हैं आर्मी ने, एयरफोर्स ने, और यहाँ का जो उत्तराखंड प्रशासन है उससे लोगों को यहाँ हर्सिल से उत्तरकाशी तक भेजा जा रहा है, मातली, जहाँ से आगे वो बाय रोड देहरादून की तरफ जा रहे हैं। अभी जितने यहाँ पे टुकड़ियाँ आई हैं जो राहत कार्य के लिए आई हैं, जिसमें भारतीय सेना, एयरफोर्स, एनडीआरएफ, एसडीआरएफ, पुलिस और उत्तराखंड प्रशासन जो है, हमारा पहला सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा ये है कि हम यहाँ से पहले तो धार्मिक पर्यटकों को निकालें, उसके बाद जो क्षतिग्रस्त निवासी हैं उनको यहाँ से निकालें, और तीसरा यहाँ पर सर्च एंड रेस्क्यू मिशन स्टार्ट करें। जैसे जो कुछ हम कर सकते हैं, प्रयास कर सकते हैं, वो जारी रहे।
A big development now coming in, viewers. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in his statement has said that Israeli army will take control of the Gaza city. The Security Cabinet has approved the Prime Minister's proposal for defeating Hamas. The IDF will start preparing for the taking control of Gaza city while distributing humanitarian aid to the civilian population outside the combat zones. The decision marks another escalation of Israel's 22-month offensive launched in response to Hamas's 7th of October attack. Here's Republic TV's senior executive editor Abhishek Kapoor from Israel as he met Prime Minister Netanyahu, and he sent us this report after the meeting.
Coming back to our meeting, Prime Minister walked in, shook hands with each one of us, the Indian journalist delegation that was meeting him, and then he made an opening statement, and I really liked it for a couple of reasons. One, he said that Prime Minister Modi is one who really opened up the India-Israel relationship, and he's someone who brought it out of deep freeze. And of course, there is a historical context to it, because Israel was never talked about, and we in fact established diplomatic relationship also with Israel in 1992 when P.V. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister, and from 1948 to 1992 we did not have a full-fledged diplomatic exchange of ambassadors, for example. Having said that, he said that the future of this relationship is very bright and strong now that Prime Minister Modi and him have taken it to the next level. He called Prime Minister Modi his friend more than a couple of times. And then he said that the future is up, up, and up. And that was my takeaway. I would put that as a headline, perhaps. And then another aspect which I liked about his comments vis-a-vis India-Israel relationship is his talking about the defense relationship, which typically the Israeli diplomats are very cagey about. And he said that this is doing fantastic, and we need to strengthen it further. There is a lot that can be done. Typically, Israeli weapon platforms, defense platforms are battle hardened. They are not tested in labs. They are tested in real battlefields because of the situation around Israel, surrounded as it is by enemies and inimical forces. So he said that there is a lot of scope for improvement there, and apart from that, of course, trade, economy, agriculture, other things. Then he opened the floor to questions. Each one of us got an opportunity to ask questions. I asked him a couple of questions. So, for example, my question was on Gaza, and he said that we are going in and intensifying our war in Gaza, and that's an act of, I would say, political courage for Benjamin Netanyahu to be doing. In fact, we met him earlier in the day, and in the evening he said he's going to have a cabinet meeting where they're going to decide the contours of the second round of Gaza war, the intensity of which the Israeli Defense Forces going to decide. His objective is clear, that we are going to finish off Hamas this time.
Moving on, viewers, to the final story. Huma Qureshi's cousin, actor Huma Qureshi's cousin, was killed in Delhi over a parking dispute. In fact, her cousin, 42-year-old Asif Qureshi, was murdered around 10:30 p.m. last night over a parking dispute. This took place around 11 p.m. in Jangpura's Bhogal Market Lane. Police say an argument broke when Asif asked his neighbor to move a scooter parked in front of the gate. Now, the verbal spat quickly escalated, and one of the accused allegedly stabbed Asif. Here's more is a ground report by my colleague, by Akil Jamil.
A shocking development has come from Southeast District's Nizamuddin area, where this unfortunate incident took place, in which a person who has been identified as Huma Qureshi's cousin brother, Asif Qureshi, was brutally injured initially, and then when he was taken to a nearby hospital, the doctors have declared him brought dead. Right now you can see we are just standing outside the very residence of Asif Qureshi, who is the cousin brother of Huma Qureshi. Over a parking issue, this very incident took place when Asif Qureshi requested his neighbor not to park his bike over here, and after that this altercation briefly basically turned into verbal spat, and then what we have seen that then physical assault took place, in which Asif Qureshi got brutally injured. Here you can see this is the very residence of Asif Qureshi. Right now it's locked. Most of the family members are still in the hospital right now, and we have tried to speak to some of the family members on phone, but they are saying that as of now they don't want to comment on that what actually transpired at that point in time. But you can see over here, just outside visual of his very residence, pretty clear that when Asif Qureshi parked his scooty over here, then his neighbor has requested him not to park just outside his residence. And what we have got to learn from the police sources that this was not the first time that a brief altercation took place between Asif Qureshi and his neighbor. And after that, in a fit of rage, the main accused in connection with the case basically pulled out a poker and stabbed on Asif Qureshi's chest, in which he got brutally injured. And when he was taken to a nearby hospital, the doctors have declared him brought dead.
Well, that's all we could pack it in this edition of 6 Stories at 6. We'll be right back with breaking news and updates at 6:30.